My name is Bernard Merriweather, and I'm going to explain to you why texting while driving is bad in my persuasive essay.
Why is it so bad to text while driving?
It's bad to text while driving because while you're texting while driving, you're not focused on what's on the road and what's in front of you. While you're driving, you can put not only your life and everybody else's life in danger also. While you're texting on your phone, while you're driving, you have no control over the steering wheel because your hand's on your keypad. That text message really isn't worth you risking your life and somebody else's life in danger, and you can potentially take them away from their family. Also, while you're driving, you can also put in perspective that not only you, but other people could be doing the exact same thing. They could be on their phone, not paying attention. All it takes is one mistake, one swerve off the side of the road, and then texting while driving is something most drivers have done at one point or another. There are various studies out there with stats and percentages of people who text and drive. On the low side, the numbers show 60% or more have admitted to texting while driving at some point. On the high end, numbers are closer to 80%. In controlled studies, those who text and drive spend about 10% of their texting time outside of their own lanes. In another controlled study I read up on, most drivers took their eyes off the road for 3 to 5 seconds while texting. That's the length of a whole football field. The same study also showed that people thought their eyes were off the road for that half. 97% of teens say texting and driving is dangerous, yet 43% admit to doing it. 75% of teens say their friends text and drive. 77% say that their parents text and drive. At any given time, approximately 1 in 5 drivers around you are reading or writing a text message. Texting and driving falls under the category of safety risk called distracted driving. Distracted driving covers any non-driving act that keeps drivers from safely operating their vehicle. Texting and driving is particularly hazardous because it involves a combination of all 3 forms of distracted driving: visual, manual, and conjugative, which means this not only impacts what we see, but also how we respond and how time to process, but also how we respond and the time needed to process what's happening before we can respond. Think hands-free driving is the way to go. Research shows that any cell phone using while driving, whether it's handheld or hand-free, impacts drivers' reaction as much as having blood alcohol concentration. In 2012 alone, 3,328 people were killed on the U.S. roads, and an estimate of 421,000 were injured in crashes due to distracted driving. At any moment during daylight in the U.S., any estimated 660,000 drivers are also using phones or other electronic devices while driving, a number that stayed in the same since 2010. Drivers under the age of 20 make up the highest percentage of distracted drivers involved in fatal crashes. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration cites distracted drivers as the case of 10% of fatal crashes involving incidents under the age of 20. In 2012 alone, 3,328 people were killed on the U.S. roads, and an estimate of 421,000 were injured in crashes due to distracted driving. At any moment during daylight in the U.S., any estimated 660,000 drivers are also using phones or other electronic devices while driving, a number that stayed in the same since 2010. Drivers under the age of 20 make up the highest percentage of distracted drivers involved in fatal crashes. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration cites distracted drivers as the case of 10% of fatal crashes involving incidents under the age of 20. Whether you're a young driver or have years experience behind the wheel, keep in mind that texting while driving isn't worth the potential loss. Pull over, wait to reach your destination before sending that next text message. It'll help you avoid accidents and among other perks. That's something that can help you keep your car insurance down low too.